Sitting in traffic, it's easy to forget great driving even exists. And commute cars can be boring.
So we've gone back to the cars that inspired our show, now considered collector's cars that shouldn't be driven.
But we're setting out on 4 epic road trips, one in each direction of the compass, in search of amazing roads and new adventures. The 4 points in the great cars of the past.
We'll give you one guess where we're at. This is the start of a road trip that is brand new ground for both of us. We have been from Los Angeles up to San Francisco, up the coast before, but we've never been north up the coast from here.
And if you go from here to Seattle all the way up the coastal road, that's over 1,000 miles. So we thought we've got to bring some great cars. We brought our cars of the past. Now, I know they're old, they're cars from last century, but we think old cars still need to be driven, and heck, just getting here was a big road trip.
Part of the anxiety is bringing the old cars. They've done great from Utah all the way here to the beginning, but there's still things, there's still unknowns. We don't know what we're gonna encounter.
We've booked nothing but Seattle at the end. We're just gonna take our time and get there, hopefully get there well, be tourists along the way, and we're taking you with us. Technically, I am on California Highway 1, north of the Golden Gate Bridge. We are going to get as close to the coastline all the way to Seattle as we can, but right now I'm looking at real estate that is old and tiny and massively overpriced. I know that this drops over a ridgeline and drops us down into an area called Muir Beach, which is when the real coastal road going north begins.
This road is not made for the 928. Some of the fog is clearing. Oh, there's Muir Beach. People live down here. Wow, this is gorgeous.
Muir's sarcophagus is down here, full of books.
And beard trimmings. I was actually concerned we weren't going to see the coast, all that windy road and the trees. Like, where's the water? There's the water. This is an interesting difference from the part of the road south of San Francisco, because there, once you get to the coastline, it's all big, wide sweepers. Here, hello, that's tight. It keeps surprising me with how tight it is, and we keep leaving the coastline to go into really dense trees and tight technical corners that are pretty slow. I really wanted to drive just during the daytime on this trip, mainly because I didn't want to miss anything. I didn't want to have any sections that I went through where it was just playing pole position and looking at the reflectors on the road. But here we are at night. It is currently 5:30 p.m.
On road trips, things change. Your schedule changes. You linger places that you didn't expect, but you have to be able to let yourself do that. You've got to be able to build time into your schedule. And the crazy thing is, we don't have hotels booked, which is good and bad.
Honestly, we did this trip exactly the opposite of how I do trips at this point in my life. Because, you know, you make a vacation and you have very limited time generally. You have to get a certain distance every day. You have to cover certain things every day. You pre-plan everything.
But on the other hand, if you've got a destination and a reservation at a particular time, you can't linger, you can't enjoy. We are on the edge of the continent, blasting along through the dark.
I know the ocean's right out there. I can see lights reflecting off of the water, but I can't see anything because, well, it's 5:45. That's why I can't see anything. It's almost 5:45. Woo, you're out so late. This is other reasons to do this in the daytime. It's super duper dark out here. That's right, I said super duper, and I'm an adult. Here's the crazy thing about a tight road. If you're going 30 around a corner, you think, oh, why are they going 30? They should go faster. Why aren't they driving harder than that? But if you do 30 miles an hour around a corner that's labeled for 15, you're going twice as fast as they suggest. You are going fast.
Even though we're running together, it feels like a Dear Diary kind of a moment. Spill your personal thoughts, spill everything that's on your mind. That's what road trips do to you. We're driving almost 30 and 40-year-old cars up the edge of a continent on purpose to have a sense of adventure. Because if you're driving any other modern car, well, your mind is very far from what the car is doing. It's just going to work, right?
Everyday Driver is brought to you by CarParts.com. Get the right parts right now at CarParts.com.
It's a bodacious morning in Bodega Bay.
It feels different today. So that was kind of crazy. On start this morning, it was a cold morning, and I couldn't get it into gear. So I pulled the bottom of the clutch up with my foot and pushed it back in, and thankfully it engaged the clutch and I could put it in gear. It's a little scary. Because the sunroof leaks and it's not quite aligned, I decided to use gaff tape to tape off the seams on here. I did it mainly just to keep the wind noise out and keep the water out, but it's not really working.
Which reminds me, I have T-tops that don't leak. I say that because they do seep. You just sit there overnight with water and you get in this morning and there's just little drips that are happening occasionally. It's like reminding you I am not a fixed top. But on the plus side, I have T-tops and we're at the coast. We got a full day ahead.
Finally have some espresso in me, some proper espresso. It is day 2. We are leaving Bodega Bay and everything at the beach is moist. Are we crazy for doing this? Are we crazy for taking old cars? I mean, they're doing great, except for this clutch startup issue this morning, grinding gears and freaking me out, but it's okay. The car's okay. We're moving now, and it's overcast. Yay! Just the general layer of moisture means that my hair gets really curly and I'm getting dripped on. Not often, it's not leaking, just the occasional little, like, there, see, now my finger's wet. That's how that's working. If you didn't have your own car on this trip, I think it would be half as fun, at least, because you don't have any skin in the game. There's no interesting part of the drive because it's your car. That's a new noise. I suspect that this stretch is actually really beautiful. I can't tell because of the fog. It's probably gorgeous. We're up off the ocean and we're still really, really tight through here. I feel kind of lucky to be able to see Paul in front of me. We're just going off into nothingness. The road just vanishes into fog. And I know just over that cliff is a big drop to the water, and out of the fog comes a rental Mustang. They had the top down in this weather. That is somebody from somewhere where you can't ever put the top down with a car that they hate, and they were desperate to rent a Mustang and put the top down. Bravo, sir. I am loving this day, and we've barely started. Yesterday was a little oddball. Today is, it's off to a killer start. And it's still rainy. Imagine if it was sunny, how happy I'd be. Yeah, so this clutch issue, it won't go from third back into neutral very easily, and there's about a couple inches of travel at the very end of the clutch pedal, so I'm pulling up with the top of my foot, and it seems like it's grinding just to make it go all the way up. Not sure what that is. I hope the transmission continues to run because the engine wants to run, but of course the engine is the only thing that I touched on the car. Completely rebuilt the engine, didn't touch the gearbox. Each shift is a momentous occasion. There's almost like an invitation. May I shift? I'm going to be shifting now. The shifting is about to happen, and then the shifting occurs. Every gear. I think there's also some moisture and electronic intermittent things because I've got a warning light on the dash. It's good to know the warning light works, but the best part is the engine, the note out the back. It is a Borla exhaust, but the note, just listening to that, is so satisfying. I'm having those thoughts that strike about once every road trip, and that is, I'm seeing stuff I've never seen before that's gorgeous. I'm in areas of the country I would have never experienced if I hadn't driven here myself. I'm behind the wheel of a car that I love. I'm with best friends. It's a little warm and fuzzy, but this is the reason you take a road trip. This is the reason, hopefully, that you want to go out and drive. This is when it's at its best. Commuting is when it's at its worst. It's when it sucks. This is the reason that we're even talking about autonomy, because we really would rather not commute.
But when you're doing this, I would think you're going to always want to drive. You're going to always want to control the car for yourself and see the world for yourself. There is a level of safe discovery in something like this. You're not an explorer. You're not out risking yourself. You're in a nice enclosed car where the view is nice and you can't even tell it's cold and wet outside. Except you can see it.
Lighthouses. That's what I'm expecting next. Lighthouses.
Apparently, when you do this stretch of the coastal road, you're supposed to go see lighthouses. So we're going to go see lighthouses. You want to come?
We've got the Point Arena Lighthouse, and we've got the gift shop too, which means I can add to my entire collection of lighthouse gift shop accessories. I can't wait to go in.
So we did stop at a lighthouse. It's the Point Arena Lighthouse, but it was destroyed by an earthquake in the early 1900s, so they had it rebuilt by a company out of San Francisco that knew how to build and protect for earthquakes. That company built smokestacks.
I admit I've relaxed a lot. I'm letting things happen. I think the sun coming out has definitely helped my mood. Also, good news, the tires are doing very well. Thank you, Nokian. These are the WRG4 all-weather tires. They did great through the weather, through the mist and the rain this morning, and they're quiet.
In addition to being a all-weather tire, which means it has the triple peak snowflake and is actual snow rated, they have proven the versatility that they promised. Now, we haven't had any snow, but we have had some nasty, slippery weather. Plus, when I consider the fact that these are low rolling resistance tires, I actually expected them to give up a lot more than they do. They just feel very normal. Not a high performance tire, just a decent mid-grade performance tire.
And look at the ocean.
Oh, wow, look at that. That is gorgeous. I'm having to bring my face back around to be like, driving. Must focus on the driving. Of course, I'm bringing the speeds down and I'm watching the scenery because the water is turquoise right now. This is glass beach. This is actual glass beaten down by the waves because there used to be a dump for trash just north of town. And this is what the ocean did to the trash. It made glass. That may be the only good story you've ever heard about trash in the ocean, but there it is, and it's everywhere. From a distance, it looks like sand, but you get down here next to it, and it's every color you can imagine, and it is all just glass.
The chunks are smaller than I thought they'd be. This is pretty interesting. Just, you know, trash, glass. That's kind of pretty.
I really enjoyed Glass Beach. It was very soothing. It's just interesting to think about the power of the ocean working on garbage. There's a metaphor in there for bettering my life. It'll come to me. Don't help me.
And it's taken me a day and a half to get into a mode that I'm finally starting to relax. This is spectacular. I knew the Northern California coast was unbelievable, but you simply must come. You must make it a priority.
We planned 4 days to go to Seattle from San Francisco. 4 days. We thought it would be plenty of time to go about 1,100 miles. It seems like a pretty straightforward thing until you realize that you're going to be going less than 40 most of the time. There's very few stretches like this where you can pick up the speed. The other thing is, since we're doing production and we want to shoot the beautiful portions and share them with you, we also just need to keep moving, because stopping and getting the cameras out, shooting again, it just takes up time. So that means you have to come. You have to bring yourself and your family and hopefully a halfway decent car to experience this for yourself and see all the stuff we can't even show.
Yeah, take more time than we are too. Just stop along the way, enjoy. This is worth it. Look at that ahead of us. Whoa, gorgeous. So we're gonna turn inland a ways and then wind our way through the redwoods. Hopefully we can reach Eureka tonight, and it's gonna get dark quick, I know it. I'd so much rather be in a sports car doing this. Hello, deer. Hello, deer by the side of the road. This is why the 928 needs a giant LED light bar across the front. Look at that. The sun's still out, up high, almost halfway through the drive. And this is my favorite.
I love when these trips surprise us. We're not even in the redwoods yet, and yet the trees are huge, the canopy is dense. We have this amazing winding road that we're on almost by ourselves.
This is spectacular. You can drive a car through this beauty. That's amazing. As I've been driving, it doesn't feel like an old car anymore. It feels like the right car. It just strikes me as this is the machine I'm seeing the entire trip with. Wow, look at that sunset over there. Just a little wispy of pink.
And now we've entered the 101. This cuts right through the middle of two different redwood forests. We've actually seen them as it went dark today. Of course, yep, here we are again, driving in the dark.
We got to see a little bit of the trees. We didn't stop because we have to keep trucking here.
We have 2/3 of this road trip to Seattle still to go. And this day's been magic. These cars are running pretty well. They both have smells. Fragrances that let you know they're old and hot and tired, but they're out here. Great old cars that you never see on the road because everybody goes, well, I don't want to drive that, but you know what I should do is clean it one more time and take it to Cars and Coffee.
Everyday Driver is brought to you by Covercraft. Use the code EVERYDAY22 for 10% off your order.
Another day and another fog. By that I actually mean the weather, not our mental state, even though we're all a little tired this morning. We decided because there's so much fog, it's not even really worth doing much but get miles. Plus, since we've added the 101, we've actually increased our speeds by a lot. So we should be making quite a bit more distance going forward than we did to this point.
I'm convinced that I heard a bolt come unscrewed and bounce under the car and exit. And I don't know what that was, and I'm pretty sure it was off this car. But the good news is she's running, she starts and runs, it's great. And today my odometer and speedometer are not working, but nevertheless, the clutch is actually behaving today a little bit. I still have to make it a monumental effort for each shift. We're at Crescent City, Battery Point Lighthouse. And it strikes me, all these little beach towns are starting to have a Cape Cod kind of feel all the way up the coast. The sunlight is wrong for what the Cape Cod type of feel is, yet I'm looking at that kind of architecture everywhere. It's an interesting feel, but I kind of like it.
This is one of two lighthouses in the Crescent City area. The other one is up there and then out like 8 miles into the ocean, so we will not be visiting that one. My question here, though, is I always thought of a lighthouse as a big, tall thing with a big light on the top. This is like a house with an extra big porch light. It doesn't seem like much, but apparently it's a big deal, and there's a lot of stuff around here to stay away from.
We're about mid-trip, just past halfway, but I'm relaxed. I'm just letting things happen. North to south, California is really long. I'm ready for Oregon. I'm ready to see what's next. I'm ready to see some really rocky coastline.
I'm surprised by how much we aren't on the water in this, but man, you come around a corner out of some dense trees and you just go ba-boom. It's all huge scenery, and you suddenly realize, that's right, we're right here on the coast.
I'm also pretty intrigued by the architecture. It just feels like last century. I mean, it is, but there's not a lot of creative new houses and construction that feel really modern and new. It's that old ranch land kind of feel. And it's just build something that works. I've heard people say about Northern California that it's just a different speed. And I still can't put my finger on it, but I think they're right. All right. We did it though. Look.
I'm now in Oregon. I am forever changed. Lots of miles to do yet, lots of driving to do. It's still beautiful. It's not like it's stopped all of a sudden.
We just crossed the border. Oregon seems very happy to share all of their laws about towing something. By the way, mobile phone use is prohibited, criminal penalties. But look, weed!
I am just leaving my first Oregon gas station experience. I don't feel necessarily extra served or protected by the process of the fact that I can't pump my own gas, but okay, you know, I'm full of gas again. Awesome, that's what I needed. Thank you, Oregon, for doing that for me.
I can see the difference now. It's definitely transitioning to the Pacific Northwest feel.
This is the part of this drive I wanted to see. I wanted to see something specifically Oregon, those boulders in the water. It's very Oregonian, and now we're going back inland. Dang it. I want to be right, like, beach me. That's what I'm hoping for.
I wish my speedometer would work. When you're driving this car, I'll feel like a jerk. I wish my speedometer would work.
I'm making fun of the gas station attendant thing, but maybe I've got it all wrong because I just looked down and realized something I've never seen before on this car. Somehow, with their special elite Navy SEAL gas station training, they have overfilled my car. The gas gauge is beyond full, something I've never seen before, but this is possible in Oregon if you have somebody help you. Don't know what he did, but I am uber full.
I wish my speedometer would work. If a cop pulls me over, I'll feel like a jerk. If I can't tell my speed, they'll think I've been using weed. And if you're driving this car, it's a perk.
See, that's what I expected the Oregon coast to look like. And I'm seeing it firsthand from the driver's seat of a car that I love, and a car that most people would say shouldn't even be out here. What on earth are you doing putting that kind of mileage on it? Why are you taking the risk? Because it's a car. Because it needs to be driven. Because it likes to be driven, frankly.
Oh, it worked. It just worked. Look at that. It just came back. Ha ha ha. Good car. Yes. Apparently I'm going 60. It's come back. It's recording mileage again.
Important messaging here. Do not disturb sea lions, seals, and people with back problems. Be nice.
Let's make sure you love each other. I agree. You know, I think if I lived at the beach, I would probably open a shop selling the schooners, like the models of ships, the 7-masted ships. I drove by a house and there was a 7-masted ship model. I thought, well, of course, you live at the beach. Natural.
Maybe it's weird, but I've been looking forward to this the entire trip. I've only ever seen pictures of this kind of Oregon coast, and I thought when we started, I was like, you know what I want to do? I want to drive my car there, stand on one of those Oregon beaches, see the sea stacks, see the rugged coastline, and we've actually pulled it off. We're actually standing here now. Guess what? It looks like Oregon, but it's gorgeous.
This is far more beautiful than I thought it was going to be. This is spectacular.
Oregon's impressing me. It's the laid-back vibe that I really like. It reminds me of my time in Alaska when my family lived there. you're reliant on yourself at all times kind of feeling.
When we started, I had no reason to doubt this car. It had already taken a 500-mile road trip to get home. You've seen that video. And yet, starting out, I just thought, okay, these two 30-plus-year-old cars are going to go on a 3,000-mile road trip. Let's see. Then I'm having an experience that's probably the exact opposite of what I should feel, and that is the longer we drive them, the more I believe they're going to be fine. Both of them have issues. I've got some weird cycling, grinding noise that I think is a synchro going bad. It doesn't happen all the time, but when it does not sound good. I think that's happening. Otherwise, fires right up, the turbos are ready, and they are strong, and this car just loves a road like this. We are GT driving right now. We are covering mileage, and it is spectacular. We keep coming around these corners in Oregon, and we pop out of the trees, and there's the water. And the waves here are huge. The way they batter the coastline in these long streaks, it's really gorgeous. It's total postcard work.
We've come inland a little bit, and then we're headed back out towards the coast, trying to push as far north as we can tonight. But look, it's only 20 after 4. 4:20, dude!
We'll have an amazing day with great weather like today, and then at about 3 o'clock we all get nervous. At 3 o'clock, like, oh, wait, dark's coming. And it is pitch black by 5 o'clock.
Everything is fish and chips, seafood, and clam chowder. I mean, almost every restaurant. That is a pile of something. Hey, look, and fuel prices have come back down. Well, that's helpful.
At the start of this trip, I was dreading the night driving. Didn't really want to do it at all. Now, it gets dark and I just think, okay, let's settle in, let's focus, let's get some real serious driving done. It's become like Zen-like. It's before we grab dinner and close down for the night.
I was a bad boy this morning. I didn't check my oil. But that's how much trust I've come to have in the 928. On the cool mornings like this, where it's sea level, I can tell it's got a lot more power.
Had another visit from the Oregon gas ninjas this morning. The needle is past full again. I genuinely don't understand how that's possible, but it's happened both times I've been filled up by someone else in Oregon. Maybe I'm not trying hard enough. I don't know.
The coastline is gorgeous, and I think despite not being a morning person, mornings out here are my favorite. I love this stretch of road through here.
So the gas is cheaper and someone else puts it in for you. It's like I'm living in a weird parallel universe. I don't understand clearly the whole gas station thing has got me completely befuddled. I don't understand what's going on here, but I'm quite impressed with 92 octane because this car really, really likes 92.
Depot Bay, world's smallest harbor, apparently. That is pretty small. Okay. I love the trees going right out to the edge, right to the water. No beach, no sand, it's just right into the water. Look at that expanse. Look at that, all the way up the coast. And you can see the waves crashing, multiple rollers. I've pretty much forgotten everything else that's going on in my life. All I care about is this moment. All I care about is this road and this car with my closest friend. That's what I love about cars. They take you to new places and you get to drive a cool car, fun car along the way.
I've discovered on this trip, in spite of refilling the reservoir, that I don't have working misters. So I have to do this trick. And you're thinking, couldn't you go to the gas station and do that? But the Oregon gas stations, you're not supposed to get out of the car. They want to do everything for you. It's a little weird. And I keep forgetting. And then I get in the car and I go, misters! And they don't work. See, problem solved. It's an old car. Let's be honest.
Anybody tell me how fast we're going?
45.
Okay, good. The odometer's not working again today. Speedometer, nothing's working. Tach's working. Everything else is working, but
Still early yet. Give it time.
it needs some warmth. I need to talk nicely to it.
We're in a valley ringed by peaks. I mean, not big things, but rises of rock, okay? And yet somehow we keep seeing signs about being in the tsunami warning zone. how big would the wave have to be to get in here?
Well, look at this. We are pulling into Tillamook, the Tillamook Cheese Company. Holy moly, it's bigger than I thought. That is awesome. It's like the IKEA of cheese. It's huge. But we're not stopping, we're moving on. We got stuff to see, we got the coast to see. Tillamook is a little bit inland, and we want to be back out on the coast. All right, a little car update here. Getting very difficult to get the car out of gear from third or fourth back into neutral, so it's making shifting very difficult. And that, of course, is the only thing I have not touched on the car at this point. The engine is running healthy and strong, but it's all the supporting cast members that aren't doing too well right now. And it's providing a little bit of anxiety for me. Once the car is moving, we're good. So I'm trying to shift as little as possible, but otherwise, the car's running. I just hope I can limp it all the way to Washington here.
There are a few little foibles in here too. First off, the misters don't work. I think you saw that earlier, and that actually gets really problematic with the back glass. The back glass on these cars is always dirty. It doesn't matter if you've got a wiper or not, or a mister or not. It's always difficult to get that back glass clear. I noticed that with my first one, and guess what? It's still true. Have that weird circulating grind noise that happens occasionally. I don't even know the full combination of things that make it happen. See, that's the thing with old cars and weird problems, is you start to learn what are the series of events that lead to that weird thing or weird noise. The touring button still feels okay, but if I switch it over to sport, I actually physically bounce in the cabin, and Paul was noticing earlier when I'm in sport, you can watch the rear of the car bounce. So I think these shocks are just about done. It's going to be time to get some new ones. So yeah, let's not be in sport. Let's go back to touring, and let's get a shock replacement done between now and the next road trip, hopefully. Normally at this point you expect us to switch cars. I know you do. Both of us driving every car we brought. That was the thing that we pioneered, and we still do it. However, on this trip, it's proven to be a bit of a shakedown for both cars, a reality check for how are they. And in the case of the 928, it keeps adding little things. And the more that list builds up, the less he wants to get out of it, because he wants to keep assessing. I think this whole trip's going to be me behind the wheel of my own 300ZX, which I'm not really going to complain about that, to be honest.
Now we're back out by the coast. We're coming up north to Astoria. So that means we're almost in Washington. Oregon's gone quicker than I'm used to, but of course California, north to south, is long. So yeah, Oregon just sped by.
Anybody else think about the movie Goonies? Goonies was entirely shot here.
We've just stopped for lunch in Astoria, Oregon, and we're on the Astoria-Megler Bridge. We're just about to cross. You can see it right here, going straight north again. And this is also the longest truss bridge in North America. Look at this thing. We are up here. This is gorgeous.
It's like a roller coaster crank hill. Down! About 3/4 of the way across the bridge, it becomes the state of Washington. What a bizarre way to do a state line crossing. I like it though.
Can you imagine being out here in a storm, spray coming up over the bridge? That'd be great.
When we were headed out of San Francisco and all the roads were 20, 30 miles an hour and tight and dark and covered in mist and fog, I thought, we're never getting to Washington. Of course, here we are, and the weather's perfect. The sky is awesome. There's no rain in the forecast. And now I feel like, we should go further. We're not. This is a lot for these cars for right now, and we still got to drive them home. I know there are those of you out there that are saying, but what about? What about accidents? What about road corrosion? What about road spray off of dump trucks? What about all the reasons to not drive your car? And you know what? You're right. Yes, all of those exist. But cars are meant to be driven. And is your life, is your car ownership better because you didn't drive the car? I kind of doubt it. I kind of suspect you would enjoy it more if you drove it more. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just an investment for you, but if you're watching this, I kind of think you like to drive. Buy something you love, drive it because you love it. It's what makes cars worthwhile. It's the driving part that makes them worth owning. If you own a bunch of cars and don't drive them, that's not a triumph, that's a tragedy.
Oh, there it is, entering Washington. Boom. Right at the second span here. The trek continues.
We're officially in Washington, which means the next time I get gas, I'll have to pump it for myself, and I don't have all the skills of an Oregon gas ninja, so I'm not sure how that's going to go. I'll probably fill the tank. It'll probably not get as full, and it'll probably cost me more. Look, I'm filling the tank for myself. I'm putting it back for myself. Look at that. I did that all by me. We're headed up further up the coast, trying to stick to the coastal road as best we can. We actually have to leave the 101 in a minute to get up to a place called Westport. Westport is the farthest northwestern corner we'll be able to do on this trip. Now, there is Cape Flattery way, way up at the corner. I would love to stand there and actually talk about being on the exact northernmost tip of the contiguous United States. However, it is closed. The whole Indian reservation is closed to outsiders right now, so we can't get there.
This is the equivalent of a blue ski run. The black diamonds, great. They're challenging, awesome. Takes a lot of concentration. When you're on a blue, you can just cruise and enjoy the scenery. You can enjoy the technique. You can just enjoy. That's what a road like this is. It's not too technical, but it's full of gorgeous scenery, and you can just cruise and take in some roads and taste some corners. Glad I'm getting my car continually dirty. Might as well just pour honey on it and drive through a dust storm. Whatever. Part of the road trip, right?
We've left the 101 after being on it for a couple states in a row. We're now on a coastal road called 105. It's gotten quiet and barren. There's no homes out here at all. There's very little traffic. It does feel like we're at the edge of the continent. It's just us. And it's doing what it can to actually follow the contours of the edge of the state. And so we're not always going the way that makes sense. Earlier we were going east for a bit because we had to go around a big inlet. Now we're coming back west, directly into the sun at the moment.
Definitely getting farther up the coast. We're in the northwest now. It's just after 3 o'clock and the sun's going down now. We're almost to Westport. Gonna stop there for just a little bit.
It's a little bittersweet because once we get to Westport, that's as far as we're gonna go on this adventure before we turn for the big city again. And I'm excited to get to Seattle. I'm excited to actually finish the journey, but at the same time, I've enjoyed the exploration of this. I've enjoyed the fact that we're getting somewhere I've never been before. I'm seeing brand new things on brand new roads, crossing multiple state lines in a car that I love, with people that I love.
The car's brought us here. Pretty cool. We're at the observation tower. Westport, Washington.
Westport, Washington, never heard of it, but I looked up on a map. What's the furthest we can go? Get all the way to the water. There's the water. Here we are. The car's got us here. It didn't seem possible at one point, but we're here, and now we go east, and then eventually Seattle, and then home.
Dear Diary, today was a great day. We came almost all the way through Washington, all the way up to Westport. That's an accomplishment. Congratulations to Todd. Congratulations to the guys. Chance and Edgar, our crew, for assisting us the whole way. We feel like we're a little family going the whole way. San Francisco to Westport, Washington, and now we just have a little bit longer to get to Seattle. Just a little bit.
I hope you have cars that you like this much, and I hope when you do, that you take them on an adventure, because you can, and because they're just meant to be driven. And you get to see stuff like this. Neither of them are perfect. They've had their issues, let's say, and some of their issues are ongoing, but what's undeniable, though, is the fact that we've enjoyed being in these cars for 4 days straight through great scenery. We've just been glad to be in them. It's Seattle. There it is right there. It was Golden Gate like 2 days ago. Well, like 4 days ago. But it was Golden Gate, and now it's the actual Seattle skyline. We're not faking anything. That's not blue screen. We're here and the cars are here.
Hey, this is a real accomplishment. The cars made it. The brakes are metal on metal for right now, and the clutch hydraulic fluid I think is leaking a little bit, doesn't shift really well.
Yeah, you had a rougher time than I did. The first to second synchro is probably badly in need of a change. I'll need alignment at some point and probably also shocks, but you know, by and large, they did really well. These are 30-plus-year-old cars.
Please use us as your excuse to get out here, bring your car, plan or don't plan your own trip. Nevertheless, thanks for watching. Thanks for being with us. Cheers, everyone.
Today was supposed to be just the uneventful, triumphant return home. It's just miles to do to get home. But after going through a pretty heavy snowstorm at about 4,200 feet in eastern Oregon, now we're stopped. I'm assuming they're dealing with some ice or something that's happened right at the transition of weather, but I have no idea. When I started the car this morning, it didn't. Just to make the adventure as good as possible, I turned the key at the start of this morning and it just sat there. The lights are all on, everything's on, dome light, all of the sensors are on, but it wouldn't start. That sound you hear is the Z running. It started now. I got out my jump kit. I brought one of those jump kits along, so I got out my jump kit. Once I got that out, it actually did start. It didn't really want to, but it did. So I'm hoping that the battery just got tired overnight. If it's anything else, I really just want to get home. It's been okay since then, but I don't know. I don't know what this day becomes, because at the moment, I'm doing that thing that's never anything but disconcerting, and I am sitting parked on a major highway.
Eventually, we did get moving again. And guess what? The Z just ran. I saw a nice rainbow. And the car continued to run through the rest of the trip. Yep, there's still things to do, like the shocks, which I definitely should do, but I'm excited for the next trip.
My car has been in Tacoma for the last 2 months because you remember all the stuff that I was observing and feeling on the trip? It all came true. The car needed work. The intermediate plate was starting to disintegrate. All the screws holding the front air dam cover that covers up the AC unit and the alternator, all the screws fell out. That's what I heard bounce and roll underneath the car as I was moving. So, good news is, I left the car after we finished the trip in Tacoma at Bristow's Auto Repair. You'll remember from our Lemons film, you saw Bristow's Auto on the rear fender of our Boxster. That's Pete Bristow's shop. If you need anything with your car, take it to Pete and his entire crew. So a 928 must have been like a Toyota Corolla to them. It was really no issue at all. They took their time and did everything right. She runs, look at that. And they know that we're taking these on further trips. We've got 3 more trips to do after this one. Of course, you want to know, how is she doing? The car feels fresher than ever. It feels crisp and strong. The oil leak is gone. It shifts great. Bristow's Auto rebuilt the clutch pedal, the entire clutch pedal. All the things that I was doing to baby the car along, like putting my foot underneath the clutch pedal, I started to do that, and then I realized I don't need to, because the car drives normally now. Having a new battery has given it a lovely jump in power. I think it had the volts, but it didn't have the amps to run the gauges properly, because now the gauges have like come back to life. They're soldiers standing at attention. Yes, what do you want us to tell you? Here they are. I've got my speedometer back, the mileage is still not reading, tach, oil pressure, and battery 12.5, 12.6 volts. That's what I want. It's back in my life after a 2-month hiatus. Now I can go after cosmetics. I can fix panels that are loose, and the rearview mirror is loose, and everything's rattling, and the shifter needs refinishing and the steering wheel needs recovering. But that's what I wanted. I have gotten what I wanted at great expense. You're also wanting to know how much money I've got into it at this point. Well, my bill was about $8 grand. So I've got almost twice into the car what I paid for it. It sucks. It's a money pit. No doubt about it. It is a money pit. But it's my money pit. I get to drive it and I get to experience it like it was intended. And even though I'm the sucker, as soon as I started driving, I forgot about how much money I dumped into this thing. All is forgiven. It sounds crazy. And this is the disease with an old car. I got angry at it. I hated it. And now I'm driving it home and I have confidence for more mileage. Except the mileage that won't be recorded. Yikes. Temperature has now dropped, and I'm really glad to have the all-weather tires right now because it's just a little bit of grease on the road here. Yeah, all-weather tires are where it's at right now. Thank you, Nokian. The car is still running like a champ. There's things that I need to do, like fix the washer jets, and the motor for the windshield wipers is not strong, and the taillights. I've got a taillight that's out, and the plastic housing that's around the left headlight is flapping in the breeze. So I feel like the car is rattling apart with every mile. I love this thing. I hate how much money I spent on it. But I love it. I think. I am less than an hour from my house, and I am ready to stop driving. I am really sick of driving, and I can't wait to do it again. Next trip for us, taking these two cars to Texas. We're going south, baby. And I still want to drive this more than any of these other cars. What is wrong with me?